eventually drop out, and 48% of those students who drop out do so as a result of anxiety, mental stress. Although these numbers are reflective of college-age students, anxiety affects all students, from kindergarten to senior year, all the way up to graduation school. There could be a simple solution: therapy dogs. Bringing therapy dogs into schools could be an effective solution to alleviate anxiety in students. A personal view of what therapy dogs can do comes from an interview with Laura Landry. She works at Dumbarton Elementary School and brings in her therapy dog, Lynx, to work with special education students or any students that need her help. One of the first success stories for Lynx was with a second grade student who had anxiety to the degree that she could not attend school some days. And as a result, her grades dropped, she fell behind in her classes, and she fell out of her class socially, all of which can greatly impact a developing second grader. She worked with Lynx and she gradually improved. She's attending school regularly now and is doing very well. Laura also talked about a student who was so stressed to do well in school, his grades actually began slipping, and he became too stressed to answer questions in the class or similarly participate. His concentration and his ability to actively participate was significantly impaired, which impacted how he learned and how he was able to improve himself because he was too afraid to make mistakes. So he worked with Lynx, and because Lynx created a safe and supportive environment for him, he began improving as his confidence grew, and he is now doing well. This not only goes to show what therapy dogs can do, but it also shows that anxiety can take on many forms in students, such as aversion to taking academic risks, aversion to making mistakes, aversion to even stepping into the classroom, as well as social stress. Something as simple as reading out loud can be such a huge deal for someone who has anxiety to that degree. All of this definitely affects the child's learning and development, regardless of whether they're in kindergarten or they're in senior year. Therapy dogs can help because they're a positive, happy, and a non-judgmental presence, which creates a safer and more supportive environment for students where they can be unafraid to make mistakes and grow through those mistakes. As a part of my research, I evaluated a university study that was conducted by Emily Thelwell on university students, which is a published study, and it was conducted in 2019. The students in the university were all tested using the STAI, which is the State Trait Anxiety Inventory, and is a way to numerically measure a student's level of anxiety, or anyone's level of anxiety. The students were either divided into control or treatment groups, where control indicated no interaction with the therapy dogs and treatment indicated interaction. And according to the results coming from the State Trait Anxiety Inventory, the students who did not interact with dogs only had a 5% decrease in their anxiety score. In comparison, the students that were able to interact with therapy dogs had a massive 30% decrease. The rest of the data in this document was of the same trend or inconclusive. Another test conducted measured joviality, which is essentially happiness. Using the same setup as the STAI, the control group rose in joviality only 4.3% after not interacting with the dogs. In comparison, the treatment group rose in joviality by 26%. These are both very conclusive tests confirming that therapy dogs do decrease stress levels. These tests also tested the levels of cortisol, which is a stress hormone, in a subject's bloodstream. As the State Trait Anxiety Inventory and the joviality scores indicated, the hormone was present in a much lower percentage when the subject interacted with a therapy dog, as opposed to if they did not. All of my scientific sources were in agreement that therapy dogs do decrease stress levels and could be effective in a school setting. My project was volunteering at Live and Let Live Farm. You can see behind me, I have some of the photos of my volunteering experience there, where I walked dogs, I took care of them, socialized. I also worked occasionally with cats, small animals, and even a beautiful horse named April. Although this was not a therapy dog setting, I definitely felt more relaxed and less stressed after this experience, which Based on this experience, I would absolutely advocate for therapy dogs in schools. I think they would be very effective in helping a student manage anxiety and stress. I also ran a supply drive for Live and Let Live Farm, and I'd like to thank all the students who participated. From a personal viewpoint, I owned a therapy rabbit, Paddington, for some of middle school and most of high school. During that time, I took her to elementary schools and colleges. When I took her to the elementary school, she worked with kids who absolutely refused to read aloud in class, but you should have seen them flocking over to go read to Paddington. I saw college students relax and be significantly happier from the time they came in to the time they left. Although not a therapy dog, she helps so many students and is a testament to what therapy for students in a school setting. An ABC News article featured Boomer, who's an elementary school therapy dog, and described the effects Boomer had on the children as Boomer creates an atmosphere of joy just by being present. He's excited to greet everyone and is non-judgmental, kind to all, and a great listener. His presence aids students struggling with friendship, home issues, school anxiety, and other problems that can impact their learning and their development. In conclusion, therapy dogs could be a very simple but very effective solution to the common and far-reaching problem of anxiety in students. By improving the root problem of anxiety, the use of therapy dogs in schools would result in increased concentration and improved learning. We need to look at therapy dogs as a simple potential solution for anxiety and stress in students. Thank you.
Excellent job, Rebecca. Thank you. For Rebecca about the project.
I have one.
Thanks, Matt.
How long does it take to train a therapy dog? What's that like?
Laura told me that she actually had Lynx in training for probably between 6 and 8 months. And during that time frame, it actually took about 3 or 4 months for the paperwork to allow him to be a therapy dog to progress and for him to be allowed in the school building.
What were your favorite animals to work with at Live and Let Live?
I mean, definitely the dogs. Yeah, they were just so energetic and happy, and it was a really good time. There were a couple. There was Aegon, who was one of the first dogs I met, who was just really sweet. He was one of my favorites.
Nice. You guys, if you don't know what Live and Let Live Farm is, can you tell us a little bit about it, Rebecca? Like where
they're a nonprofit rescue and animal sanctuary in Chichester. Not just an animal shelter. I mean, they rescue all kinds of animals there. There's the dogs, the cats, the horses. They actually have a couple parrots there. They've got parrots, they've got ducks, they've got geese, they have pigs.
I'm always amazed what they have.
Yeah, they really rescue everything. Yeah, it's a really unique place. It's a really special place.
Yeah, it really is. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thank you.
So Matt,